Hello, welcome to another Alpha Strike We Play video. My name is Adam. I'm the owner of Alpha Strike Games and Hobbies here in Perth, Australia. And this is my friend Tarron.
Hey buddy.
You're joining me again for another video. You must like them.
We're doing more Mythos stuff and I've been looking at these guys and thinking, no.
No?
They're just rude.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
But no.
So these are the Odani Travelers.
Yeah.
And again, another George paint job, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. He's done all the ones for us now. Did some commission work for us. They're
really
nice.
good looking.
Really nice, yeah.
Nice one,
yeah,
buddy.
Beautiful.
Let's have a look.
So the Odani are basically carny folk to the outsiders. They're just people who travel around and put on shows and whatnot. But they do actually have the responsibility and access to the fates. All right, so spirits and fortunes and all that sort of thing, they have the power over that.
Okay.
And you use that in your games. It's very cool.
And it allows for some funky stuff.
So the, was it the
Caldera?
Caldera. The Caldera's family is basically the most respected. So there's all these other families that do it, but these are the most respected. And they're the ones that are being shown here. So like all the other box sets, they come with a full faction, and you've got individual models. It's 100 points per, when you play your games, 100 points per box. So if you just buy a starter box, you've got everything in there that you need.
You got 100 points worth of models. You can each buy a starter and play a 100-point game.
Yep, that's it. So we shall start with probably Max.
The leader of the pack.
The leader, yeah. So he's like
this fella here.
Ringleader and what are they called? Ringmasters?
Ringleader, ringmaster, yeah, in the circus. So Max Caldera. He's actually pretty insanely good, to tell you the truth. Fairly standard move and charge, but he's got good solid defense ratings. He's got a 7 sanity, generates 3 myth, and has 25 wounds.
Yeah, he's very solid.
That's Cudgel is a good attack. Good solid +7 and causes paralyze.
Nice.
Which is nasty.
Yeah.
Very nasty. But he has commanding voice on his healthy side, which I'm quite intrigued by. So you spend 2 myth points, and during your activation, this model may spend 1 action point to allow another model from the same force to immediately take 1 action. So you can shuffle people forward, you can have them attack someone that's engaged with them, you can do all sorts of weird, funky stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. But for 2 myth, and it doesn't say you can only do it once.
Yes, you can. You can only do it once.
You can only do it once.
Yeah, myths, when you activate a model, they can only use each one once, which is handy. I mean, it does cost 2.
Yeah.
So there's quite a risk. I mean, he's got a madness limit of 4.
Yeah. So you'd be rolling for using the myth, and you're using your myth up quite quickly.
Yeah.
But that's solid. That's solid.
Another model to immediately do 1 action.
Yeah. And if you've got a solid hitter in there, which I think you probably have a couple of people there that are pretty solid hitters, that could be really, really good.
You'll notice that a lot of abilities tend to have a range limit, but not for him.
Yeah.
It's anyone on his side on the board.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
It doesn't say anything about them being within a certain range or engaged or anything like that. No, you just go, do an action.
Yeah. Keep wailing on that person over there.
Hit him again before he gets up.
The power of the fates already.
So he's got a bullying swagger, so he gains +1 to all combat attacks against human targets. So if you go against something, well, for instance, like the Belial guys that we did before.
We did a bit. So Dan Flack or whatever.
Yeah. But some of those guys are all human.
Mostly human.
The officers are human, except for the dogs and the big bat dude. I don't think he counts as human anymore, but the rest of them are human. There's a bunch of other ones that are out there that technically count as human, even if they have funky abilities. They're still human. So +1 to all combat attacks against any of those. That's pretty good.
So you're Wildborn.
I think a couple of them count as human as well.
The leader for your Wellborn, she does have the trait human, even though she's on this big base with a big snake around her and everything. So
she still counts.
Yeah, it pays to have a look at the cards. So it's
bloody oath. If you're playing these guys, double check your opponent's cards and make sure who has and has not got the human trait, because he gets +1 to his attacks against all of them. So that makes his cudgel an 8, which is pretty good. He's also got charm, so this model rolls 3d6 for arcane defense against enemy arcane attacks and discards the lowest.
Yeah.
Which is, again, rude.
That is rude.
It's cool, though, but it's rude.
There are some quite powerful units out there in the other factions that have arcane attacks.
And 3d6 and discarding the lowest is a recipe for some pretty good numbers. I mean, you could get 3 1s and you just go, no, that's it, done. But, 3 dice, you've got a reasonable chance of getting a good, solid roll.
Yeah, definitely.
His stats don't really change much when he flips, which is a little odd. Stat line stays the same. Cudgel stays the same. His commanding voice becomes give orders, which I think we've seen in someone before. It might have been Belial as well. But may spend 1 action point to grant vigor to a friendly model within 8 inches.
Yeah.
Not quite as good as go ahead and have an action right now, but it gives them an extra action point for their turn.
That's still pretty good.
Which is still pretty good.
For 1 Mythos.
Yeah. He loses his other abilities except for leader, and he gains old injury, so he can't make charge actions. Which is, it's not good, but it's not awful.
Well, it means that he can't engage in combat, because you have to charge to engage someone in combat.
Yeah. So, sucky.
But if he's on an objective, for example, because a lot of these games are scenario-based, if he's holding an objective, the only way to get him off is to have a bit of a slugfest with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that being a downside, but also not that big a downside in some instances. And technically he keeps the other one as well, it just changes its name. So he goes from charmed to protected. So this model rolls 3d6 for AD against enemy arcane attacks and discards the lowest result. So it's exactly the same ability, they just changed the name. That seems a little odd, but there you go.
There may be some rules that they're working on or something that affects certain abilities, or I don't know, maybe having the name change affects something. I haven't seen anything yet, but you never know the future.
But for now, that's it. That's what you
guys
get.
would know the future. Maybe you should ask them.
Hey, dude, what's happening with the lotto numbers, mate? Oh dear.
Buy the popcorn.
Now, we have a rather startlingly dressed young lady. Oh, there she is. She's over in the corner there. Solid paint job.
Knife thrower.
Knife thrower. This is Vida Caldera. Caldera.
Calderis.
Calderis.
Sounds like a dragon.
Does it? Caldera. Sounds more theatre-y, doesn't it? However, so she's got 7s across the board except for a move. 6 sanity, generates only 1 myth, which is a little unfortunate, and 15 wounds. But she's got the knife throwing thing, so she's got a 6-inch ranged attack at +7 that causes bleed, and a base combat with a 6 that causes bleed as well.
So if you like dishing out bleed, she's your girl.
She's your girl.
She is your girl.
Well, she's one of your girls. I think a couple of the others give you bleed as well, but I'm not sure. But yeah, bleed on her is, a bleed at range is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 6 inches, so...
But, the one that I was thinking is a bit rude is this glimpse of fate thing. So she spends 1 myth point, roll 1 die and keep it next to this model's card, replacing any glimpse of fate dice that are already there. The face value of any die just rolled in any check at any time may be replaced by one of these glimpse of fate die values. Once a die has been used in this way, it's discarded. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, you spend your myth, you roll your sanity thing, and then you roll a dice.
Yep.
You take the face of that die, and you put it next to your card, and then any other roll you make, you can go, no, I'm going to use this instead.
That's right.
That's cool.
So if you roll a 2, which is like, whatever, when she activates the next turn, you can do that and re-roll it. Replace it. So hopefully you get better than 2.
Yeah, but if you get a 10, then you're like, you know.
Well, a 6. It's a D6 system. So
it's a D6.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
So if you roll a 6,
if you roll a 6,
good. You can replace them. So, which is good. Like if you're doing a charge action, you're rolling 3 dice, and if you get like a 6, a 5, and a 2 or something, you can swap out a 6.
Yeah.
Swap out the lower number or whatever, and you've got a 6, a 5, and a 6, which is technically
a critical.
Correct. Yeah.
So that one D6 next to your card with the face that you rolled, and I mean there might be. Would there be any situation where you want a lower face on a die? I don't know.
No.
Probably not.
Not that
Pretty much everything I know of, you want to roll as high as possible.
Because you want to beat your opponent. Yeah. And you want to beat target numbers. So.
Yeah, but you've got that one chance to get like a 6 or a 4 or a 5 or a 6 and replace it out for a 1 or a 2. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
That is very cool. And that's where their fate thing comes into it. All these characters seem to have something linked to knowing the future or knowing outcomes and having support from the spirit world and all that sort of thing. And they've incorporated it into the models.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
It's very cool. She can do a backflip.
Well, that'd be nice.
I mean, she's a knife thrower. When targeted by a ranged attack, this model may make an immediate move of 3 inches. If this takes the model out of range or line of sight, then the attack fails.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a good ability. I've seen stuff like that in, what was the system we were playing?
There's Marvel Crisis.
Crisis. Loki does
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what's her name? Black Cat, she's coming out. I haven't seen her stat card, but that sounds like something she'd sort of do.
Yeah.
The model's in a flip mode thing.
And that sort of ability in any system is rude.
Yeah.
It's just plain rude because that attack is still, you still use the action, you still like lose whatever it is that you were using to do it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't go off.
And there's no limit to how many times.
No.
Every model's got 2, sometimes 3 actions. So if they just...
So you could be targeted by a ranged attack, you do your 3 inches and maybe you're not out of range. You're targeted by a ranged attack, you do another 3 inches and now you're out of range and that action's gone.
Yep.
Or maybe you take yourself like to within range of someone who can help you with something or something like that. Or behind cover. It doesn't give you a direction. It just says make an immediate move of 3 inches.
That's right. Now it's important to note that it's ranged attacks, not arcane. Arcane and ranged, they sort of work the same, but they are different. So throw spells at her and she can't do it.
Yeah.
That's how you get around it. But
so that her own throwing knives attack there is a ranged attack. So technically if someone did that attack against her, she could flip 3 inches somewhere. And if you've got a lot of terrain, we've already discussed how having a lot of terrain on these boards is pretty cool for this game.
That's right.
You could technically flip yourself 3 inches to somewhere where you're out of line of sight.
Correct. Yeah.
So you've ruined it that way. That's really good.
That is very cool. That is very cool. And how many points was she? 13 points. She's got a lot of cool stuff for 13 points.
Her stats don't change for flipping, but you see this a lot with these guys. The range abilities drop and the close combat abilities go up. So her throwing knives go down by 1 and her knife goes up by 1.
Yeah.
She's still got a glimpse of fate. So even though she's flipped out, she can still have a die sitting next to her with the number on it. Yeah, and it's like, that's cool. She can still do her backflip. But she gains paranoia. So this model suffers a -1 penalty to all tests unless they are within 5 inches of another friendly model.
Yeah.
And your backflip can help you there, probably.
Indeed. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that says if targeted, which means before all the dice are rolled, you're allowed to move 3 inches. So if you can get yourself within 5 inches of a friendly model, then for the ranged defense attack, you're not getting that -1 penalty.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's very handy. I like it.
I wonder, so if she is already engaged with someone, and because you can do a ranged attack into close combat against a model, you've got to spend two actions to do it. It's like a focus thing.
We would have to look that up, whether or not that would take you out, because disengaging gives them
I would say that she would be able to move 3, but
Yeah.
the enemy model she was engaged with would get attacks against her.
Yeah.
That would, because it is technically a move.
It does say move, doesn't it?
Immediate move. Yeah, because there's place and then there's move with a lot of these sorts of things. If you place something...
Yeah, I was going to say, if it had said immediately place this model within 3 inches, then that would have been different. That wouldn't have been a disengaged strike. Yeah. But if you're moving, I think you'd probably get a disengaged strike.
But that's still good. Like, because if she has conditions on her, she can get out and then try and
leave and
get out of the way and clear them.
Get away, yeah.
Good.
But that -1 penalty, unless you're within 5 inches, the backflip will get you within 5 inches, hopefully.
Oh, really?
She's very cool. I like her.
Wow. She has a lot of stuff, a lot of cool abilities.
And this is, I don't know, maybe her sister or a mum?
Talia.
A cousin?
She's the wife of the next guy we're going to talk to.
Which is the big hammer guy?
Yes, Stefano. I believe so. I believe that's
right, so Talia.
Yes.
Talia Caldera. That's her there with the crystal ball.
Now, when George was painting these up, he really liked her because she's got like a lot of character. Like she's got a lot.
She's got
a lot of flow, a lot of movement when they. It's
very dynamic.
Miniature. Yeah.
A lot of flowing cloth and wavy hair and stuff.
Wind just seems to follow her everywhere. must do awful things for her hair, but I mean, it looks good.
Like the rain god in Hitchhikers. the clouds just know they want to make him, like, water him and make him grow. That's an aside. This is Talia.
Okay. So she's an oracle.
Yes.
So with a name, with a keyword thing like that, you can imagine she's probably got a lot of indie abilities.
I said the Hand of Fate thing was rude for the other young lady, but it just gets worse. But let's have a look at her stats first. So she's 4 and 7 for move, which is fairly standard. She's got 6 combat, 7 range, and 8 arcane defense. So she's got a good high arcane defense. She has an arcane ability, which is shriveling. It's a +8, 10 inches. And causes fatigue.
That makes sense with shriveling as the name.
That's costing you an action, that's nasty.
So she can do that twice because it's an attack. So you get 2 actions.
Yeah.
Do that twice. So put fatigue on 2 different models. Wow.
Yeah, and that can really screw up somebody's battle line and stuff. That can mess you around fairly badly if you're not careful. And she's generating 2 myths, so that's pretty good.
Makes sense.
But she has Hand of Fate for 2 myth. And you're rolling 3 dice.
Wow.
And keeping them next to the model's card.
Wow.
So you've got 3d6. Boom. You put those 3. You discard any others you've got. You put those 3 there, and then every roll you make for that turn, you can go, no, I want to use this one instead. And that's just...
Any dice roll. So it's not just, it doesn't say just for Talia. It says
any dice roll.
Any dice roll.
The face value of any die just rolled in any check at any time may be replaced by one of these Hand of Fate dice values. It doesn't say it has to be you. It doesn't say it has to be your turn. It doesn't say anything like that. It just any die, any check, any time.
And that will affect your opponent as well. That's the same as the other one.
Yeah. It doesn't say it has to be your team either.
Any dice.
And that's why the lower values might be good. So if you roll a 1 on those die, you could go...
Oh, I have another 1.
Yeah. You go, well, you know what? Boop.
Oh.
And now you've got a critical fail and...
Oh, no.
It doesn't actually say that they have to be your team. It says... Any die just rolled in any check at any time may be replaced by one of these Hand of Fate values. It's rude.
Oh, they have to get taken out first.
Yeah.
And I think someone playing this faction would know that. They probably want to keep it protected.
I would be putting a great big target on her head. Wow. And as gorgeous as the model is, I'm sorry, but she's out as soon as possible because that's silly.
3 dice.
And I mean, if you roll 2 ones with that, and somebody else is doing a standard attack, you can just go...
2, boop. Yeah. Whoa.
It's not nice. She has a bit of an ability for that too. So any model targeting this model with a combat or range attack must re-roll their highest die for that attack.
Wow.
So you want to take her out, but you want to take her out like with arcane if you can, but seriously quickly. Like gang up on her and get some really serious die rolls because otherwise she's just going to mess you up.
Yeah. So she has a madness limit of 4.
Yeah. Using the 2 myth at a time is a little harsh, but I mean that's only 2 at the beginning. So you get them all back at the start of your turn. So that's basically 2 dice per turn, 2 myth points per turn.
Yeah,
will get you this continuously.
Yeah, that's right.
Continuously throughout the game, and another myth point per turn will get you the other lady's one as well.
Wow.
Vida. So, and she's got 1 die, and this is 3 dice. So that's potentially 4 dice you can mess with. You can either up yours or
that's a bit rude.
You can up his as well. You can bugger up the other guy's stuff, or you can change your stuff. It's just rude.
For 15 points, she gets the award for best support model.
Yes,
in the game.
Dead set. I mean,
hands down.
That's just rude.
Wow.
She doesn't have to get close to do anything. None of it says anything about line of sight or anything like that.
Nope.
She's got defense against close and ranged attacks. The only one she doesn't have defense against is arcane, but she's got an arcane defense of 8.
Yeah.
So, I mean, seriously.
And the dice.
Yeah, and those dice. Just, wow.
Okay. So what happens when she does flip? What changes?
When she flips, she goes a little away from what usually happens. Usually they become kind of combat focused. Close combat, but she's got her moves stay the same. Her close defense goes down, and her arcane defense goes up, both by 1 point.
So 9 arcane defense.
Arcane defense of 9, and her shriveling, her arcane attack goes up by 1.
Oh my god!
So it's still 10 inches, still fatigue, but she's rolling and adding a 9 now. Hand of Fate is still there, so she's still messing with people's dice rolls. She loses the gift of foresight and gains visions of death. So models gain +1 to all combat attacks against this model.
Okay.
So what you want to try and do is try and make her flip so that you can then come in and kill her.
Okay. So with that Hand of Fate, she's still spending 2 at a time. So if she fails that makes the madness table very dangerous for her as that progresses.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I think she's still got that title. That's really, really cool.
It's insane. I mean, if you can keep her on her healthy side, which with the dice and the ability and the defenses, you've got a solid chance of doing. If you could keep her alive for quite a while. Anyone within 10 inches is getting fatigue and not really doing much effectively. They can't range or combat attack her properly, and she can mess with their die rolls. So until she flips, she's a rude piece of...
Yeah.
That's just... no.
So they have a total of 4 of those dice on the table.
Yeah.
Considering how many dice rolls you do, you'd probably burn through them. You'd want to probably...
Oh, you'll get through them,
you don't want to risk, but 2 at a time.
Yeah.
The myth.
You get an adjustment on your die roll, on your sanity roll for how many myth you spent.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because you get a bonus to act first, so you probably want to still spend your myth anyway.
So that,
oh wow, that's lovely.
That's just insane.
All right, I might read one. Who we got? So Stefan. So this guy, he's human, male, strongman.
The big hammer guy there.
Ah, okay. So movement of 4, so not fast or whatever. Charge of 7, combat defense of 8, range defense of 6, and an arcane defense of 6. 6 sanity. He generates 1 myth, which is but 19 wounds. So he's got a bit of staying power, and he's 15 points.
Yeah.
His weapon, he's got 1. It's the big maul. It says post maul.
A big hammer.
So you're adding 8. It's combat in base, and you paralyze. Of course you do. You
of course.
Knock them out. He has one myth ability, which is Smash. It costs 1. So each time this model wins a combat attack during this activation, it may push the target model 1 inch in any direction. If it does so, this model may then move into base contact with the pushed model. All rules regarding moving through terrain or other models must be obeyed. So you can get someone off one of your allies.
Yeah. So if you've got someone with a condition, you're not allowed to remove that condition if they're engaged.
Yep.
So if you get him in there, whack, use that myth ability, push him back 1, move up, so you're still engaged with him.
Correct.
But the others aren't.
Yeah.
And then they can sort their conditions out and things. It's really good.
Yeah, and depending on where everyone's situated and what the terrain's like, if you can knock them off and move in and block, and you've got like protected areas or whatever.
Yep.
It's really cool.
It's really good.
So he is a big model. He's on a bigger base or whatever. But
he's on a bigger base.
Size M. So he's still, people can still shoot through him. Like allies can still do spells through him.
Yeah.
Like that, so
yeah. He's good though.
He is, yeah. He does have tough as nails, so any non-condition damage suffered by this model is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. Now, there's a couple of characters in the Brotherhood of Belial that have that, and it's quite handy.
We've seen that
for him.
under a couple of other names in various places. So
his wound 19 is going to last a lot longer with that. I like that.
Bloody oath, yeah.
But he's unique, as all of them are, so you can only have 1. But that's okay.
Oh, well.
So when he flips, his stats sort of drop a bit, unfortunately.
That's a big drop there.
Yeah. Combat defense drops to 6.
2 whole points dropped off there.
An arcane defense of only 5. So magic would be the way to go against him, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So he gets up to 9 for the maul, and he changes his myth ability to Unbridled Rage, which costs 1 like the other one did. He gains +1 to combat attacks until the end of the activation. So he is ready to pummel. He just loses his crap and off he goes and starts wailing on everything.
Yeah. And that's when they flip, they tend to move more towards close combat abilities.
Yeah.
Especially if they started with close combat abilities. But
he still keeps that tough as nails, which is nice. So
which is good.
He's ready to wail for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
He's good. So he's very good to defend some of the other characters that are a little bit...
he'd be good to defend her, really.
Yeah.
I mean, keep them close to each other sort of thing, and he can ward off anyone trying to get in there and kill her.
Yeah.
Which you would do. You would definitely want to do that.
One of the more interesting models to look at in this faction...
This guy. Look at him.
Amron. He's just got... That's it. Just his Amron. That's it. He is a myth.
So cool.
And he's a diva or dava. Dava?
Dava?
D-A-V-A.
Be like demon.
It'd be something like that.
With a different spelling, but he's a diva.
But he's really cool. He's on this bigger base and he's got this little puppet.
He's like a puppet master thing with a little marionette.
He's packing a little handgun with him. It's cool.
You see the little handgun on the puppet there? Yeah. See that? It's cool.
So he moves 4. He has a charge of 6, combat defense 6, range defense 6, and arcane defense 7. So probably ranged attacks and all that against him. Sanity of 8, generates 2 myth, and has 18 wounds for 15 points.
For 15
That's not bad. Yep.
Yeah.
Medium size, even though he's on a bigger base. He has smoky tendrils as a close combat. No, that's arcane. Sorry,
arcane. Yeah.
So a 7 to your dice, 12-inch range, and causes fatigue, which is very nice. And the puppet also has a little handgun. You add 6 to your dice. It's a ranged attack, 10-inch, causing bleed.
Yes.
All these guns causing bleed. What a shocker. But he has 1 myth ability, which is puppetry. Costs 1 mythos, and this model will make an immediate free handgun attack.
So you can technically do, like, you've got 2 actions. You could do 2 handgun attacks and then pay a myth and get another handgun attack.
Yeah. That's really, really good. Really good. But anyone who's watched all those Chucky movies and things like that, if they freak you out, this probably ain't the character for you. Just letting you know.
Melt a puppet down and it comes back because there's blood on it or something. They got weird after a while.
But as you can imagine, looking at him, he does have some other little abilities. One of them is Abomination, so he causes fear. The baddest is gained regardless of whether you pass or fail this test.
Yep.
Right. But I think if you cause fear, you're not affected by fear.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider if you're going to go up against him. And considering he's doing 3 attacks,
Potential,
it could potentially
yeah.
do a lot of damage. You probably want something that is fast, that can take a lot of hits, and cause fear. A lot of factions have them.
He doesn't actually have a close combat attack.
No.
So that's kind of cool. You can use a range attack against a close combat enemy, an engaged enemy. I can't remember. We'll have to look that up.
I'm pretty sure you can. But
I think you can.
I think it might cost you the 2 actions.
I think you have to focus or something to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll have a look at that.
But then you get Stefan in there.
Yeah.
So if he gets engaged and Stefan's nearby, so he can get out of there. So he doesn't move fast, like we were saying. Only moves 4. So
but with a 10-inch shot and a 12-inch shot, I mean, you don't need to move too quickly.
Yeah. But when he flips, his stats sort of drop a little bit, as you'd imagine. The tendril, the arcane actually drops. The handgun doesn't change. Puppetry, he still has. So everything essentially stays the same.
Yeah.
It's just the smoky tendrils drops a bit in.
His range, his combat defense, his range defense, and his arcane defense all drop by 1 as well. But he's pretty cool. I like it. And the model is brilliant.
Yeah, because he's a myth, he'll roll on the actual myth table once they flip over, which is slightly different. Yeah. But I tell you what, 3 ranged attacks. God, I love that.
And I mean, technically you could do 2 smoky tendrils or 1 smoky tendril, 1 handgun, and then puppetry for another handgun. You could move, do an attack, and then puppetry for a free attack. I mean, that's just rude.
But you've got 3 chances at bleed with the handgun, so that's doing an extra, 4? So if you hit all 3, you cause bleed, that's nothing, and then you got 2 and 2 if you hit again.
Yeah, so you're causing an extra 4 points of damage as long as you keep applying the bleed.
Yeah, plus whatever else you did in the difference between your dice rolls as well, that's
quality. I like him.
But
that's one of the few that I've seen that's actually completely range focused, that doesn't have like a backup knife or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's insane.
I don't know. It's funny. All right.
Quality stuff. Now, these 2 guys are basically the same.
These are funny, eh?
So it's Pally and Tucker. And they're the little... he looks like a clown there. I think that's Pally.
They're called... Yeah.
And this is Tucker.
So they're also myths. They're called Jans.
Jan.
Jan. So I don't know. I mean, obviously they're creatures from somewhere.
They look like mutated clowns.
Yeah.
Like goblin clown really hybrids or something.
I mean, they're cute as F, but you know.
Yeah, I was going to say they are kind of cute, especially one with the red nose. But their stats are the same. So they have all the same abilities and all the same stats. So you can learn one from the other.
8 points. So small base. That's all right. It's 8 points. 5 sanity, generate 1 myth each with 11 wounds. So they're kind of basic, but I mean 8 points. That's fine. You're looking at 5 for everything except charge.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, so they cause blind on their attack.
Yeah. So their claws are causing blind.
That's pretty handy.
Which is neat. That I think the Belial guys, the big bat guy had blind.
He has
on
that.
His claws,
yeah. So blind can only affect you once, but it does affect quite a few things.
Yeah.
You can't make ranged attacks, and there's some other stuff as well that it does.
Yeah, it gives you modifiers to various defensive things and stuff. Nasty. It's not actually bad to be causing.
Yeah. So you have to be in base. He only adds 5 to that, but that's fine.
But I mean, look at the little guys.
I know. You wouldn't suspect. It's only I was thinking gremlins.
Yes.
The gremlins, the evil ones.
Especially green. Tucker there, he looks like a gremlin. This guy, he looks a bit gremlin-y.
So what do they got? They got 1 myth ability, sprint, which costs 1. They have a limit of 2, actually, for their madness.
Yeah.
So you probably wouldn't want to be using it that much.
Would go bad fairly quickly, but sometimes a sprint is actually pretty handy, so it's worth thinking about.
So it adds +2 to their move and +2 to their charge.
For the remainder of their activation, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially when you read their Bloodlust ability.
Absolutely.
So if this model destroys a model during its activation, it may immediately make a free charge action.
Oh.
And if you've already activated sprint, then you get that at the +2.
So if you charge, take someone out, you can charge again.
And with the +2, that means you're charging at 10.
Yeah.
Because their charge is 8.
8.
If you start with the sprint on, you can charge up to 10. Hopefully, take whoever it is you're hitting out. And because you've destroyed them, you get a free charge. So you can do another charge up 10 and hurt somebody else.
Well, if you take them out, you could keep going, because it's only the myths that you can use once, and the attacks are based on your actions.
Yeah.
Myths you can only use once. Abilities are abilities.
Yep. So that free charge action, a charge action is a move to the charge range and then an attack.
Yeah.
That's what's covered by the charge action. So because you're getting a free one, you get the move and the attack, and that is gold.
Yeah,
that is gold.
So if you could weaken a number of enemy models that are close by
with, for instance, someone who is good at ranged attacks or arcane attacks.
Yeah, especially with those dice from the fates or whatever. If you could time that right,
Bloody
you
oath.
could do so much damage with these.
And
guys.
if you've got any of them left over, add them to these guys for their charges and get the criticals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's rude.
There's some actual synergy going on there. Good lord. With only a 5 added to their claw attack, it's not going to be a guarantee thing. I mean, it's going to be a little difficult to pull off, but like you say, with those dice floating around and all the bonuses and things you can add in, that makes some cool ideas popping into the head there.
So if you have those dice, and even if you bung your rolls a little bit, or your opponent does really well, you can sort of balance it out a bit.
Yeah. And if you can say, maybe, like you say, weaken some people with some arcane or range attacks, or have someone nearby within charge range that's already engaged and wounded, and then just run him in and finish him off, and then run somewhere else and finish somebody else off, and run somewhere else and finish somebody else off. Good lord. Because, like we say, it does not say in there that you can only do it once per turn, that you can only do it at any particular, it doesn't put any limits on it. If you destroy a model during your activation, you immediately get another free charge.
In that first scenario, that's a lot of VP coming your way.
Yeah, if you can pull it off, that's a lot of VP. And it's also a way to get units to the rear of the enemy. Yeah, because it doesn't give you a direction you have to go. It doesn't give you any sort of limit on things. You're just charging, which means you have to go to an enemy unit. So if, for instance, you were attacking someone like this that you really want to bring down, and that is probably going to be at the back of the enemy, then this is a cool thing.
Try and work your way through.
Yeah, even if you don't manage to kill that last one, you just get in contact with them, then it makes it that much more difficult for the enemy. This is really cool. I like it. Cool. It'd be difficult to pull off with only a +5, but...
Well, if the fates say it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And the dice will tell you if it's meant to be.
I was going to say, it's still dice rolling, which is like, you know...
I'm thinking this is maybe your new faction, dude.
I do kind of like them. Yeah, I do kind of like them. They're very cool. And what's her name? Not Vita, the other lady. Talia. She's just rude.
Yeah.
Just plain rude. And the myth guy that's got the puppet with the 3 attacks.
I really like him, eh?
He's the best.
Well, there you go. Odani Travelers. I like the look. I like the feel.
They're very cool.
I don't know how balanced it is. I mean, it's having those modifying the dice is a powerful thing.
That's very powerful.
But I don't know. We've played a couple of factions each now, and we've sort of got a feel for them, but we haven't really had a close look at these guys on the field. No,
but just based on what we've played so far, I can see her completely ruining someone's poo. Just like completely ruining it. You'd be like, that. Oh, look, a critical. No, critical fail.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, take that instead. But it is forcing them to burn the dice. So I guess the opponent would sort of have to look at who they want to activate to see if you can entice them to. Yeah.
And that's you say it's rude, but I think they've probably balanced it out against that sort of stuff, because there's a lot of dice rolls in a given game.
Oh yeah.
And only having 3 dice that you can modify amongst all of those dice rolls, if you can bait out a couple of the better ones, then you're free and clear.
Yeah. I mean, if you're rolling like 2s and things like that, it might not really help you that much, which would force that character to then use more myth again and risk the roll. Yeah,
and that's better dice. That's it. It seems fairly balanced out, but it does feel rude at this point. It's like, that is a solid ability. That is something I wouldn't mind mucking around with.
Here we go. Odani Travelers. I like them. They've got a good feel. I'm interested to see how they go.
Very cool.
In a game and some scenarios.
We've got them painted up, so there's every chance that we'll give them a crack in a game at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Right, so there we go. Thank you, Tarron.
No, thank you, buddy.
And thank you for watching. So if you liked what you see, consider subscribing and do the little YouTube thing or whatever. Help build the community.
Share.
Make some comments if you've played with this faction or against this faction. Let us know how you go. Give us some pointers and tips and stuff. Maybe some tips on how Tarron can improve his dice rolls or something. I don't know.
Someone told me to see a shaman. Maybe she can.
That's it. Yeah, why not? Go consult the fates.
Nice.
Death card. Oh, sorry, dude. There it is.
It doesn't always mean death.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye, guys.